So first of all, good afternoon to everyone, and thank you so much for joining us, whether it's the audience or the students at Manipal University, Jaipur, or our wonderful faculty members of the Journalism and Mass Communication Department, and our guest speaker, Mr. Mukesh Sharma. So I am Parthavi Rathore, and I am a student of the Journalism and Mass Communication Department of Manipal University, Jaipur, as well as today's moderator. You see, I believe that through the darkest skies, we see the brightest stars. And in that sense, I feel like we are so thankful to avail this opportunity to be able to talk of such an important issue, the COVID-19 pandemic, which has affected each and every one of us in one way or another. And so it has also changed the face of journalism and spreading news. So I find it so wonderful that we get to talk of this important issue with our guest speaker, who is Mr. Mukesh Sharma, the editor of BBC Hindi. And he is an eminent personality, and his contribution to journalism is exemplary. Like, I am so in awe of the way that you go beyond fake news and you're all about credibility. And I love your leadership skills and how you really helped BBC Hindi with its successes and achievements, and in achieving some of its most prominent awards, like silver in the best news website category in the South Asian Digital Media Awards, as well as, I think that was in 2018, and you also helped in achieving a whopping 8 awards in the ENBA award show this year. So I believe all of your initiatives and work and projects are just so commendable. So I really thank you for being here, sir. And now, Subhashar, if you could just welcome Mr. Mukesh Sharma, I would like to pass over the screen to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Parthavi. Thanks for a wonderful introduction. And Mukeshji, on behalf of our department and Manipal University, Jaipur, I welcome you to this introduction. Audience, let me tell you, it's my immense pleasure to welcome the youngest editor of BBC Hindi. The people who are at the helm of the affair, they understand the importance of being the youngest editor of BBC Hindi. His contribution is, as Parthavi mentioned, is exemplary. Sir, your reporting on climate change, which has been acknowledged at various forums, national, international, globally, and including the acknowledgement by BBC. And you remember those days when you went for reporting in Northeast of times. And, it's really, it's an honor for all of us listening to you, especially in the time of, global crisis, as we say. You see, the world has changed, and similarly, the reporting and journalism and everything has changed. And you, through BBC, have been the pioneer of all this change. The way you have been, just handling the content and presenting it through the BBC website. Hands off to your contribution as well. So, in this change scenario, where everything has changed, the reporting, journalism, everything has changed, I would request you to just, guide our students the challenges that have come to us in the light of, this COVID-19. So without wasting much of time, sir, once again, I welcome you on behalf of our department and university and request you with a lot of hope that it will definitely enhance the understanding of our students. Sir, once again, I welcome you and request you to start the interaction. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you so much, Dr. Subhash, and thank you, Parthavi, for the introduction. I don't know if, so many things that you've said and so many things about taking the BBC Hindi to where it is. It's a team effort. Thank you so much for all the kind words. They're really kind and probably a bit exaggerated as well. But I would love to talk. And for the students who are looking at me, well, I don't look like the poster that you've seen because that's my lockdown look, which is quite recent. And that's why it's not a fault of those who created the poster, because the picture that I had sent was from the earlier time. So that's I still generally look like the way the poster has shown. This is just for fun, just some changes and all. That's all. So while talking about challenges before the newsroom and how the journalism we've done, I will mostly talk about how BBC Hindi has done it. Not generally all the newsrooms have reacted in the same manner, but I don't want to comment on others also because I'm not privy to all the information. So I will restrict myself to how BBC Hindi, and not only BBC Hindi, but BBC Indian languages have. Hello. Hi, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay, fine.
You are.
Sorry, actually, Dr. Anish, I cannot mute anyone because I think you are the organizer, so I would not have that possibility here with
So
me.
I have actually already muted everybody.
Yeah, everyone is muted.
Yeah, except.
That's fine. I have unmuted myself.
Yeah.
So I'll talk about how BBC's India operations, in the BBC's Indian operations, we've reacted. And when I talk about BBC's Indian operations, we talk about primarily 6 languages which are operating mainly from Delhi office. Hindi being the biggest and the oldest of all, and then it was Tamil. And then 3 years back, we had added 3.5 years back, we had added 4 more languages to Indian languages portfolio, which is Punjabi, Telugu, Marathi, and Gujarati. So it was a challenge for us when all of a sudden this happened. And challenges before the newsroom, if I talk about, then when it happened somewhere end of March, when the whole lockdown started. First thing for us was about we were very nervous and apprehensive. How would this whole working from home and office would work? For TV, it could not be done because you understand television journalism, the whole studio setting and everything. Although we could have tried, and we have a backup setup at the presenter's house, but primarily with everything required for a proper broadcast, live broadcast, we knew that will run from the office itself. For the digital operations, digital, it was easy, but because we had not done it, we were very apprehensive whether it's going to work or no. And also, had one of my team members asked me 6 months back that I want to work from home, probably I would not have agreed to it, thinking अच्छा घर से बैठ करके ऐश होनी है, काम तो होना नहीं है कुछ. But then this became the new normal. And so the last day when all of the team members were here and we were going to start from the coming Monday, the whole work from home, partially work from home and partially from the office, the 2 messages which I gave to my team was about making sure that the communication is right. And at the same time, those who are leading the shifts or those who are leading the news coverage, for them to be patient with others. Communication, because people are not sitting across the desks or in the same space where they can just shout and tell what has happened. So the communication is important. WhatsApp group generally we operate in. So that's where I said that, most of the things, even if people know, just mention it in the WhatsApp groups. If there is more, it doesn't matter. Also, patience is important because you may think why this story has not reached us or it hasn't arrived as of now. You don't know in what circumstances the reporter or the person who's working from home is working, what is the internet speed, what is the electricity issue. So just be patient. Let's see how it goes, and then over a period of time, probably it'll become normal. Thankfully, team reacted very well, and we managed it pretty well because I did not face any issues or complaints from team members. They were very patient, very cooperative with each other, and that is the reason why throughout this period, BBC operates in 43 languages across the world, and Hindi, in terms of audience reach, has remained constantly as the number one language service within the BBC amongst all the 43 languages that we operate in. So the credit is to the team. They've reacted pretty well to the whole, this changed scenario. And then the other issue when we started work from home was about making sure technology and the data security. So we don't, the content management system for the digital operations is BBC desktop centric. So you need to have a BBC desktop. That's where you can operate, which meant probably people working from home, their own laptops or the laptops we provided, not everything was BBC desktop. It wasn't built as such as BBC desktop. So then using technology, different things, that became a challenge. It took a while. Not everyone had access. So, people had to innovate. So that innovation, I guess, happened in most of the newsrooms. And with the BBC, the challenge is we're not a commercial channel. We probably a lot of you would know BBC operates government's license fees. So just to make it clear, British government takes license fee from those who own the television. A part of it they give to BBC to operate. So basically, it's a public service broadcaster because the money comes from the public and we are responsible for the common people, not the government. Although the money comes from the government, but because it's coming from the pocket of the normal people, common people, so it's a public service broadcaster, which means we cannot just afford that, okay, we are moving all the operations from home, so let's just buy all the laptops and provide with the BBC built to everyone. No, it was not possible. And also looking at British economy and the way everything is going, I'm sure you've seen how Indian media houses have reacted. The same problem of funds remains with the BBC, although what we have managed so far is not cutting not compromising on human resources as of now, because we know the issues, the challenges everyone actually is facing this period. So technology remained a challenge, data security, because we are very particular about making sure that the data we are talking about is secured. And then once people started working from home or coming to office, those who were coming to office they became a bit anxious, because I'm sure you must have read how Delhi was becoming a hotspot after Mumbai. So people were worried, those who were coming to office. But, media is like frontline, those who are working as frontline workers, and they had to come. And that's a profession which we've chosen. So we knew the risks involved, and that's why although people were anxious, and more than our journalists actually, and to be fair, that's quite normal also, the families were very anxious. The wife whose husband is going out, or the mother whose son is going out, they were very anxious. And also those who are coming, when they're going back to their family. So who knows if they become a carrier and the whole family is at risk. So we understood that, and so this was the challenge of those who were coming to office. Then those who were working at home, there was another challenge, that they're not interacting with so many people as they were they used to do earlier. So that meant more mental stress or instability, because they're not interacting or engaging as much. So that's a stress. And so these are the things which the organization acknowledged and responded pretty well, because then mental health sessions were organized for our journalists and those who were coming to office, or even those who were staying at home. There were different sessions. People were encouraged to attend those sessions. So also as team leaders, there's one thing that, when I could have worked all along from home, because I'm not actually right broadcasting. It's more about strategy, looking at the content, looking at the direction, team welfare, and everything. And I can manage it from home. But the team leaders here, we decided that those who are coming to office also need that kind of support, and we cannot be seen that okay, we are sitting at home at our own leisure and just passing the instructions. So the editors here, we decided that on a regular interval we'd come to office. So I come every alternate day, which is Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to office. So I've maintained it all along, and that has helped because some of the team members said that जब हमारे घर में पूछते हैं कि क्यों जा रहे हो, तो हम कह देते हैं हमारे तो एडिटर भी आ रहे हैं, तो हम क्यों नहीं जाएंगे, हमें भी तो जाना पड़ेगा. So सिर्फ घर पे बैठ के नहीं हो सकता था. So as team leaders, we had to take that call. Then another challenge was about how to maintain the reporting. We did not want our reporters to be exposed because of bahar nikaliye, so you don't know what is happening and who's infected, who's not. So for quite some time, we actually said none of our reporters will go out in field. And that was for the protection of theirs. I mean, we wanted them to be protected as well as the whole operation, because if someone gets affected and they've been to the newsroom, then it means everyone gets affected. So we told them fix the interviews over, Skype, Zoom, or whatever, use the online tools. News gathering has to be restricted. Let's also use more of the central content which is being provided from London, which is global content. So we relied more on that for some time. Then when we started reporting, because the whole migrant labor's crisis was becoming big, day by day, and we could not have reported. So and some of you must have seen how one of our reporters, Salman Ravi, went out in field, and while reporting, actually, he just became so emotional. He gave his shoes and moved on. So that was the point when we started sending our reporters out, but making sure that they have all the gears, which is, they're well protected. At the same time, not too protected, or not wearing PPE and going out and talking to migrant laborers and looking like aliens. That, while we don't have anything, these reporters showing the privileges and coming to us. So we had to maintain that fine balance to in that reporting. And then when more of, we saw probably more people can come to office when this whole unlock one started happening. Then social distancing, how that is to be followed. Meeting rooms were restricted, only one person at a time in a meeting room. So, with every passing day, we had to kind of innovate and evolve in our strategies, because office is in Delhi and people come from across this whole national capital region, which is called, so someone is coming from Haryana, someone is coming from Uttar Pradesh, the bordering areas like Noida, Ghaziabad, Gurgaon, and those governments had different guidelines, which meant at times actually negotiating with the administration also about our reporters, because sometimes they saw people coming and going to Delhi as threat for their own COVID management. So, these were all the challenges which the newsroom and the newsroom leaders had to face. And I am pretty happy that we've managed it pretty well, because, and touch wood, as of now, none of our reporters or anyone in this office has tested positive. We've been able to keep them safe. Doesn't mean that, whatever the stage of COVID is, everyone would be safe. I wish and pray that everyone remains the safe. But yeah, we don't know the future, but yes, we've tried to protect our journalists. We've tried to do the journalism in this whatever restricted manner that we can do, not compromising on the quality of journalism though. And then that brings me to actually to talk about the journalism that we've done or we've been doing during these times. And I feel the first challenge that any newsroom probably faced was not having enough trained journalists who talk about public health, because a lot of journalists and normally the way journalists come to the organizations, majority of them want to do political reporting because that's where they see themselves as doing something which will give them recognition. So a lot of journalists and reporters are very good in political reporting, but when we talk about strands reporting, that is somehow dying in at least in the electronic media. I'm not saying 100%, but in majority of the newsrooms you will not see strand reporters. So finding those strand reporters for any newsroom would have been a challenge for us. It was not so much because in London we had a health reporter, and here also we had dedicated someone to science, technology and health. So someone was actually looking at the content. So also at the BBC level, there was a central decision, and when I look back at it, I thought it was the right decision, right call to take, which was there was so much of rumors and fake news as soon as this whole thing happened was being spread. Someone was saying that 5G waves, through that probably this corona can spread. Someone was saying cow dung या cow urine can protect you, गोबर और गोमूत्र से बच सकते हैं. Someone said अगर आप 10 सेकंड तक अपनी सांस रोक के रख सकते हैं तो इसका मतलब है आपको कोविड नहीं है. बहुत सारी चीजें हो रही थी और उसको as a public service broadcaster also it was our responsibility to make sure that the information we are broadcasting is authentic. At the same time, जब इंडिया में लॉकडाउन शुरू हुआ, the hotspot was somewhere Italy, Spain, Britain was becoming one. Of course, US was there. China तो था ही. So the cases were not as much coming from India, but people were very anxious because वो शुरू ही हुआ था, and a lot of news reporting was coming from the globe. Thankfully, because our reporters, in the English language are there in majority of these countries, we could come and report with authentic information. Also, we decided not to speak to local experts because then, whatever the WHO is saying, and if there is something contradictory coming from local experts, that becomes confusing. So we decided to stick to WHO, and the WHO recognized experts through whom we would speak, get clarity, do the mythbusters. In the initial phase, we did a lot of reality check and mythbusters around coronavirus, and those got huge response from audiences because they wanted to know what is the reality. And with the BBC, one thing which is there, we're not known for our speed, but we're trying to improve, but we're known for our credibility, that whatever BBC says is authentic information. So we relied on that. We decided that everything has to be verified. Whatever information we broadcast needs to be authentic, health-wise. Whatever information was coming from across the globe, different countries, again, those were verified. So those actually helped. And one day, actually, I got a call from one of our office cab drivers late in the evening. Probably he was coming back after dropping someone, and he called me back and said, "Sir, एक चीज बतानी थी." मैंने कहा, "हाँ, क्या हुआ?" He said, मैं आ रहा था और चेक पॉइंट पे गाड़ी रोक ली, बिकॉज दिल्ली में उस समय इनिशियल लॉकडाउन में काफी गाड़ियां रोकी जा रही थी. देयर वर लॉट ऑफ चेक पॉइंट्स. हैरेसमेंट भी हो रहा था क्योंकि ऑफ कोर्स यू कैन नॉट एक्सपेक्ट दोज पुलिसमैन हु आर स्टैंडिंग एट द चेक पॉइंट्स टू बी ऑल अलोंग, सब कुछ बिल्कुल बहुत ही रूटीन से होगा क्योंकि वो भी स्ट्रेस्ड आउट है. सो ही सेड कि उसमें ही स्टॉप्ड एंड ही सेड कहाँ से आ रहे हैं. When he got to know BBC से, तो उन्होंने कहा रे गाड़ी किनारे लगाओ, एंड दे सेड हम आपका जो रात में एनडीटीवी पे 10 बजे प्रोग्राम आता है BBC दुनिया, वो हम देखते हैं, हम YouTube पे देखते हैं वो प्रोग्राम, और टीवी पे भी देख पाते हैं, अगर वहां नहीं देख पाए तो YouTube पे देखते हैं, एंड दैट्स वेरी इन्फॉर्मेटिव, थैंक यू सो मच. हम तो उसी को देखते हैं. 18 मिनट का ही प्रोग्राम है, लेकिन उतने में ही हमको ग्लोबल अपडेट और सब कुछ मिल जाता है. दैट्स क्वाइट एक्सप्लेनेटरी. पर 18 मिनट ही क्यों करते हैं? सो of course he didn't know, so he wanted to check with me कि हम 18 मिनट का ही प्रोग्राम करते हैं क्यों. Then I told him कि हम पार्टनर स्टेशन, NDTV is our partner, टेलीविजन पार्टनर, उस पे जाते हैं, उनका कमर्शियल ब्रेक का अपना एक सीक्वेंस sequence होता है. So out of the half an hour slot that we are in, 18 minutes is for programming and rest goes in the commercial. तो वो इसलिए 18 मिनट का होता है. So he said, अच्छा. But the good part was that, people were actually looking at the content, they were watching, they were relying on the information that we were giving. So उससे हम लोगों को भी बहुत हौसला मिला, हमारे रिपोर्टर्स को भी बहुत एनकरेजमेंट मिला कि हाँ, जो हम काम कर रहे हैं एक्चुअली इट्स ऑफ पब्लिक यूज, वो यूज कर पा रहे हैं, समझ पा रहे हैं, अननेसेसरी रूमर्स नहीं फैल रहे हैं, ये चीजें जरूरी थी. देन दिस होल वैक्सीन एंड मेडिसिन रिलेटेड इशू केम अप. अगेन ऑथेंटिसिटी वाज समथिंग व्हिच वाज रिक्वायर्ड एंड वी रिलाइड ऑन कि कोई अगर कुछ क्लेम कर भी रहा है, so where is the peer review, where is the trial, what all levels of trial has it gone through. तो वो एक एक चीज को बारीकी से जांचना was quite important, which we did. साथ ही इनिशियली आप लोगों को याद होगा, अचानक से जब दिल्ली में केसेस आए तो मरकज के अराउंड कैसी रिपोर्टिंग होनी शुरू हुई थी. एंड तो वो एक सेंसेशनल बनाकर न्यूज को प्रेजेंट करना, हम उससे भी दूर रहे. वी डिसाइडेड नहीं, बिकॉज एंड द गवर्नमेंट आल्सो सेड, प्राइम मिनिस्टर सेड दैट थ्रू कोविड डोंट स्टार्ट टारगेटिंग एनी कम्युनिटी, बिकॉज कोविड इज नॉट kind of differentiating with any religion, caste or creed, anything. So हमने उसका बहुत ध्यान रखते हुए कि ऐसी कोई भी रिपोर्टिंग नहीं होनी चाहिए जिससे जो सोसाइटी है उसमें कोई और डिवीजन बढ़े. Then there were different, people talking about different models. राजस्थान से कोई कोटा मॉडल आ रहा है, यूपी में कोई आगरा मॉडल आ रहा है, केरला मॉडल आ रहा है. Not to declare them immediately success, but to actually test them and go back to the stories after a gap and see whether that's still sustaining or it has gone back. Everything. So, the whole point of making sure that whatever we are doing is for the audiences whom we are serving. We are not serving our peer group. That is very important, which not only during COVID time, any other time also we should remember. We should not be doing journalism for our peer group only. The journalism we are doing is for the public. So हमको ये देखना हमेशा चाहिए कि हम उनके मतलब की चीज दे रहे हैं, उनके इंफॉर्मेशन की चीज दे रहे हैं. और कोविड के टाइम में हमने उसके ऊपर और ज्यादा जोर दिया. while we knew that reporting access is restricted, we would not be able to do so many things. We had to prioritize. हमारे reporters they took permission, took all the special gears and protection and went to the ICU in Mumbai. और वहां पर जाकर के उन्होंने रिपोर्टिंग की वहां से भी, विच इज वेरी चैलेंजिंग, क्योंकि आप जब आईसीयू में जाते हैं तो आप एक डर तो होता ही है रिपोर्टर्स को, और एक आप खुद को एक्सपोज कर रहे होते हैं सबसे डेंजरस कंडीशंस से. पर पब्लिक सर्विस ब्रॉडकास्टिंग में एंड रिपोर्टिंग में दीज आर द थिंग्स व्हिच आर रिक्वायर्ड. सो how I see overall, the challenges were huge, as I mentioned, but then these are the historic times, and those the journalists who are working on these stories know that in the coming years they'd be able to tell कि उस समय हम भी काम कर रहे थे, रिपोर्टिंग कर रहे थे, ये स्टोरी मैंने की थी and it went viral, or a lot of people appreciated the story. So for journalists हमारे लिए यही हम सब के लिए किक होता है. हम सब के लिए ये अनफॉर्चुनेट टाइम है, लेकिन इस अनफॉर्चुनेट टाइम को हम कैसे सही इस्तेमाल करके लोगों तक सही इंफॉर्मेशन प्रोवाइड कर सकें, वो हमारा चैलेंज होता है. और वही हमें एज जर्नलिस्ट सबसे ज्यादा एक किसी भी अवार्ड से या किसी और रिकॉग्निशन से ज्यादा एक सेटिस्फैक्शन देता है कि हम अपना काम ठीक से कर रहे हैं, लोगों तक पहुंच पा रहे हैं, एंड पीपल आर अप्रिशिएटिंग द वर्क दैट वी आर डूइंग. सो दैट हैज been the case. So I'm quite proud of the work that this team has done, not only Hindi service but all the BBC's, all the Indian languages, across the platform, whether it's TV, whether it's digital. इसी बीच में while in January BBC का रेडियो प्रोग्राम जो है वो हमने, because शॉर्टवेव पे बहुत कम लोग सुनते हैं, वो सीज हो गया था, बंद हो गया था, बट वी रियलाइज लोगों को इन्फॉर्मेशन की जरूरत है, एंड दैट्स व्हेन वी रीस्टार्टेड आवर ऑडियो प्रॉपर्टी ऑन फेसबुक एंड यूट्यूब, ताकि एटलीस्ट ऑडियो भी जो लोग एक्सेस करना चाहते हैं उन तक पहुंचता रहे. डिजिटल है, टेलीविजन पे इंफॉर्मेशन, सो एज एंड सोशल पे, इंस्टाग्राम, फेसबुक, यूट्यूब, जितना इंफॉर्मेशन हम ज्यादा से ज्यादा पहुंचा सकते थे, दैट वी done. And yes, I'm happy and proud of what we've done actually. So this is what I had to say, and I don't know if we have scope of questions or anything that you would want to ask.
So yes, actually, students can ask questions if they have. You can raise your hand one by one, and I'll just let you ask the question. जी अपूर sir.
Sir, a very welcome to the Department of Journalism, Mukesh sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks for giving us the insights into the how we should perform during the pandemic, especially, and I really appreciate what you have done, sir. So my question is a little off the beat, actually, not related to this, but I just want to know why do news presenters they shout in other channels, and why you are not shouting?
Right. I think, see, to some extent, because Indian media market is very, very crowded. I mean, compared to, I've worked in England for 7-8 years, and US is crowded, but Indian market is very, very crowded, and Hindi is especially. I guess to grab the attention of the audiences, this is something which probably 1 or 2 channels started initially, and then later on, everyone just probably accepted it as a norm and decided to follow the suit. The presenters that we have also hired them from the market, and initially they faced this challenge because they by default went into that mode. जब बात करना या जब न्यूज कवरेज शुरू किया तो डिफॉल्ट वो सेट हो जाता है. So they started with that default, and every time we had to tell them, no, this is not acceptable, we don't want you to shout, just remain normal. Our screen also, if you see, compared to any other news organization, our news screen is also relatively clean. We don't bombard them with too much of information कि नीचे एक स्ट्रैप चल रहा है, उसके ऊपर एक न्यूज चल रही है, उसके ऊपर एक ब्रेकिंग न्यूज की पट्टी भी चल रही है और साइड में एडवर्ट भी चलने लगा उसी बीच में. So it becomes really crowded. So हमारा, when the basic purpose is to provide the information which is of use, then you cannot distract your audiences with so many things. But I completely understand how 24/7 channels operate, because they have to grab the attention of the viewers अपने competition के बीच में से. उनका रेवेन्यू मॉडल अलग है, हमारा रेवेन्यू मॉडल ये नहीं है जहां पे हम इस तरह से एडवर्टीजमेंट पे बहुत ज्यादा रिलाई करते हो. हमारा एकमात्र फोकस जर्नलिज्म का है, और सरकार भले ही पैसा देती हो लेकिन हम सरकार के लिए जवाबदेह नहीं है, हम पब्लिक के लिए जवाबदेह हैं जो पैसा देती है. तो मुझे लगता है कि थोड़ा सा वो एक जो क्लीशे है जो चला आ रहा है, और हमारे जो प्रेजेंटर्स हैं अनफॉर्चुनेटली उन्होंने बताया भी कि जब वो इंडियन चैनल्स में काम करते थे तो अगर वो चिल्ला नहीं रहे हों, एंड आई एम नॉट नेमिंग एनी चैनल, तो उनको पीछे से एग्जीक्यूटिव प्रोड्यूसर उनके कान में बोलता था, मातम में थोड़ा है किसी के कि इतनी मातमी आवाज में आप इतनी धीमी धीमी खबर पढ़ रहे हैं, थोड़ी एनर्जी लाओ. तो दैट्स अनफॉर्चुनेट एक्चुअली, बिकॉज खबर देना प्राइमरी ऑब्जेक्टिव है, न कि चिल्ला करके उसका ड्रामा क्रिएट करना. पर ये चीज ऐसे बन गई है, इसीलिए लोग शायद कहते भी हैं कि अभी इंडियन मीडिया उस तरीके से इवॉल्व्ड स्टेज में नहीं है जहां उसे होना चाहिए. ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम probably everyone will evolve. It's my good luck that I came to this organization, and this organization, the beauty of this organization is, unlike other places, it invests in you. Apart from the regular trainings and the sessions that we do, आने के साथ पहला महीना, so full 4 weeks is about training. मैंने जब ज्वाइन किया तो पूरे 1 महीने की ट्रेनिंग लंदन में बुश हाउस हुआ करता था उस समय, इंडियन हाई कमीशन के बिल्कुल बगल में हमारा ऑफिस था, अब बदल गया है. 1 महीने की ट्रेनिंग थी. सो फॉर एन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन टू इन्वेस्ट इन यू फॉर अ मंथ while they're paying you salary for that month is actually an investment on the part of organization, because वो फिर आपको आगे हमेशा के लिए तैयार कर देते हैं उसी आइडियोलॉजी से, उसी थिंकिंग के साथ काम करने के लिए, which is I would say the beauty of this organization. क्योंकि हमको ये समझा दिया गया कि आप 2 सोर्स अगर नहीं हो तो आप किसी भी कीमत पे खबर ब्रेक ना करें, आप सिंगल सोर्स पे नहीं चलाएंगे, आप सेंसेशनलाइज नहीं करेंगे, स्पीड में नहीं होंगे, कॉन्फर्मेशन में होंगे और सिंगल साइड की खबर नहीं देंगे, एटलीस्ट दोनों साइड का अगर वर्जन नहीं है तो खबर नहीं चलाएंगे। और ये इतना इनग्रेन्ड हो गया है कि घरों में भी जब बात होती है और हमारे पेरेंट्स कोई एक बात कहते हैं तो हम अनफॉर्चुनेटली उनसे पूछ बैठते हैं, ये तो वो कह रहे थे, वो क्या कह रहे थे दूसरे वाले। तो ये आपके खून में आ जाता है। ये इंडियन मीडिया का आई वुड से एक ऐसा स्ट्रक्चर है जिसमें वो चले गए हैं, और ऐसा भी नहीं है, वो उसको डिफेंड भी करते हैं, विच इज टू देयर क्रेडिट, मतलब वो उनको लगता है कि यही ठीक तरीका है। पर वी फील द वे वी डू, वी आर डूइंग जस्टिस टू द न्यूज़ दैट वी डू।
Yes, I believe so, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for taking my question.
Thank you, Moorji. And no, please don't call me sir. हम अपने न्यूज़ रूम में भी सर का कल्चर नहीं रखते हैं, so Mukesh is good enough.
Yeah, thanks, Mukesh. Yeah.
Sure, you can ask your question.
Amitabh sir, now you can ask.
No, स्टूडेंट्स को पहले मौका दीजिए, मैं पूछूं।
Okay, so शौर्य चौधरी।
Sure, if you're there, you can ask your question.
Can you hear me? शौर्य चौधरी। सर आप पूछिए अपना सवाल। स्टूडेंट का रिस्पॉन्स अभी नहीं आ रहा है शौर्य की तरफ से, सो प्लीज सर गो अहेड।
Mukesh ji, I would like to know that from the BBC perspective, how tough nowadays is it to be neutral?
It is really tough, Professor Amitabh. It is really tough because we get abused from, left, right, center, everyone. And even, आप ये सोचिए कि I don't know if you've seen the video where our reporter actually gave away his shoes, and that was just instant. There was nothing planned. And अगर आपने वो वीडियो देखा हो, तो हमारे कैमरा पर्सन ने भी ऐसा नहीं किया कि ये देखिए जूते दे दिए, ये देखिए। आई मीन इट वाज जस्ट मोमेंटली, वो समय हुआ एंड दे जस्ट मूव्ड ऑन। उस पर भी पीपल फाउंड अ वे कि ड्रामा है, ऐसा क्यों करते हैं बीबीसी वाले, हमारे देश वालों को है गरीब समझते हैं, क्या कुछ समझते नहीं है। Anything that we do, we get abused, and to some extent we are fine because everyone is abusing us. It's not just one side. If everyone abuses, then it means we are probably balanced. हर तरफ से abuse मिल रहा है। पर ये जरूर है, कई बार ऐसा लगता है कि लोग खबर पढ़ते नहीं हैं और उसके बिना ही abuse करने लगते हैं, which is very unfortunate. So if the headline is a bit provocative, and I'm not saying that 100% times everything is 100% correct. कभी-कभी ऐसा होता है कि हमसे भी चूक होती है, हम भी गलतियां करते हैं और वो इंटेंशनल नहीं होती हैं और एजेंडे के साथ नहीं होती हैं. So what happens at times, people just without even getting into the news story, they will just read the headline and start abusing us कि हाँ, you've got an agenda against India, you've got an agenda against our religion, and this could be either way. If we broadcast anything which is like कि जैसे मरकज के टाइम में when we were broadcasting, then lot of right wing groups were abusing us कि आ गए मुसलमानों को बचाने के लिए. At the same time, when there was a video from Indore where few health workers were chased in a Muslim locality, वो जब हुआ तो दूसरी तरफ से हमको गाली पड़ने लगी कि आप लोगों को क्या लगता है ये लोग गवर्नमेंट की भेस में छुप के आए हुए कोई भी हो सकते हैं, and we don't trust them. तो हमें दोनों तरफ से अब्यूज मिलता है, हमें राइट विंग लेफ्ट विंग दोनों अब्यूज करते हैं. सो इट इज रियली डिफिकल्ट टू difficult not for us to remain neutral, but for us to see कि लोग कितना ज्यादा polarized हैं and how they see the overall coverage and how they want to see the coverage from their own perspective. And those who say that remain neutral, as soon as we criticize their leaders or their side, then they also react in the same manner. So it's not only one side which reacts very aggressively. As long as there is a news story which is finding fault in something which is from the other side, they're very happy. But if you interview their own leader and you start questioning them or grilling them, then they turn back and say कि नहीं agenda है, उनके पीछे में उनके agent हैं. So it's very intriguing the way people react. Sometimes disheartening for the journalists who are investing so much of time and doing that journalism to remain neutral and provide the neutral perspective. लोग मुझे लगता है थोड़ा सा देशभक्ति और सरकार भक्ति, and I'm not targeting any particular government, उसमें थोड़ा सा लोगों को ये शायद नहीं समझ पाते हैं कि when we question any government, or for that matter whether it's any state government or the central government, their actions, we are not questioning or we are not showing that we are anti-national. So being a nationalist or being deshbhakt doesn't mean that you will not raise questions, because ultimately if you don't raise questions, how do you come to know what is the truth, what is the reality, and how do you know that people sitting in power are not hiding the truth and fact unless you question them? So the issue is people are a bit nowadays averse to the tough questions, and they just want to listen what they believe in, which is a bit unfortunate. Not 100% of course, but a lot of people do react like this, and that becomes an issue sometimes. But then again, we do discuss these things in our editorial meetings. We tell them what we feel about, what are the complaints, what people are saying, if there is any truth or if there is any issue that we need to make corrections about, we do. Otherwise, we just say, fine, I mean, this is an agenda, this is something rhetoric which will continue, and we just move on.
Thanks, Mukesh ji. After answering all the questions, if you get time, so kindly tell our students about the new grammar, new visual grammar, and grammar of the website news, because you have completely changed the, in fact, you can say the grammar of news. Earlier we used to have this sort of long intros. You used white space beautifully. Right now, your whole paragraph is in 2 or 3 lines.
Yes.
Your new sort of the, you can say the presentation of the news at the end or whenever you have the time, kindly guide a bit.
I will. Sure, sir. I will remember that.
Thank you.
Okay, Parthy, you can ask your question.
Yes, sir. Sir, so I was just wondering, in this time when not many people are going out and there's not many events, how do you still try to find new and fresh content under all that's going on in this situation?
Yeah, that is a challenge, but because so much of COVID is, action around COVID is happening, we do manage. What we've decided that we need to provide the information, as I mentioned earlier also, which is relevant to people. So apart from the event reporting, if there is something happening in any of the states, like we saw how suddenly a number of cases grew in Delhi, how Maharashtra was struggling, and especially Mumbai, how migrant laborers were going back to UP and Bihar and the issue. So we've worked, in everyday morning meeting, we actually discuss the topics that are relevant. We do discuss the broad topics and then try and figure out a particular strand which we need to explain, and also which is something probably not all the other media houses would be covering. Thankfully, government has also kept us busy with the whole Indo-China thing. That was another thing. Unfortunate incident around Sushant's death. That also. So the news cycle has been there. It's just that not as busy where we had to pick and choose. It's just that whatever news is happening, we had to see the important strand that we want to cover. So the struggle was less in terms of story selection, but more in terms of trying to figure out the angle that we would want to cover on a particular.
Okay, yes, that makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, Hina,
Yes, sir. Sir, I wanted to ask, you said there are not a lot of the journalists in other fields, for example, public health, because there are a lot of political journalists in today's time. Sir, I was thinking there are a lot of political journalists in today's time because that is what the mainstream media is feeding us day in, day out. There is a lot of political drama unfolding all the time. So there needs to be a reform in the mainstream media, and how is that reform going to come, which will ultimately pave path for other students to go into different form of journalism and not just political journalism?
Yeah. The unfortunate vicious cycle it has become where news channels say we are showing what people want to see, and people are forced to see what the news channels are showing at the same time. Also, in the race of becoming number one, I mean, news channels have started creating drama in their own newsrooms, the way anchors shout, the way window is divided into 10, 8, 12, 16 screens, and they shout at each other. And it's also related somewhat to the human tendency, because everyone likes, generally people do like the drama, and that's why the soap operas or someone having an argument next to you, you'd be more intrigued to listen to what is happening compared to a sane voice. And that is what has been feeding these news channels. That is a challenge, and unfortunately there's not I don't see a very clear way out of this. But still, if I compare it to like last 7, 8, 10 years, things have improved a bit. This is what I will definitely say. It has improved in terms of the content that news channels are selecting. The treatment is still an issue. The content that they select is, of course, they can be political debates, and sometimes, of course, during this pandemic, talking about Corona or COVID is important. That has improved a bit, because we also have seen the phase where news channels were talking so much about booth, praise, and whatnot, which was not making sense completely, not at all. But at the same time, that evolution process is still on. What we can hope that such pandemic and such situation will force the editorial teams, editorial leaders, and the management of the channels to think that probably we need to invest in such journalists who will bring value to these things. And health is one topic which makes people concerned across the board. So you see, if there is a sporting event going on, you will see a certain section of people who would be interested in sport. If there is an election, political drama going on, you will again not see everyone engaged in the content. But COVID or any health crisis, majority of the people across the age, gender, and everything, everyone was interested because they were worried. So this is something which I feel is of very much importance. This insight, I am hoping that other media houses would understand that how journalism around public health is quite important, and we need to invest, because this is something that our audiences want, that common people actually want. So let's be hopeful that coming out of this pandemic, the news leaders would learn something out of it.
Sure, if you are still there, you can ask your question. Sure.
Sure.
Okay, so Jeetvrat, you can ask your question. Jeetvrat.
Hello.
You can ask your question.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Hi.
Hi, good evening, sir. So my question is not so much like organized, but it's just a simple conversation with one of my friends. So as far while doing the conversation, so here's the question come into my mind: how long it will take to the Indian media टू कम टू दैट स्टेज जहाँ पे कोई भी इंसान जो भी हम न्यूज देखते हैं या फिर न्यूज पढ़ते हैं, हम लोग ये ना बोले कि हमारे इंडियन मीडिया में सिर्फ और सिर्फ कचरा दिखाया जाता है, जो इम्पोर्टेंट चीजें, जो इम्पोर्टेंट फैक्टर्स है वो हम हमेशा छुपाते हैं। हाउ लॉन्ग इट विल टेक टू कम टू दैट स्टेज थ्रू दिस इंडियन मीडिया?
I wish I could answer in exact terms to this question because जैसा कहा जाता है कि इवोल्यूशन चल ही रहा है और उसमें ये मेच्योरिटी दोनों तरफ से आनी पड़ेगी एक्चुअली. It's not that only newsrooms or the news leaders need to be mature and evolved. I would also say कि जो audiences हैं उनके लेवल पे भी ये इवोल्यूशन और इस मेच्योरिटी की जरूरत है, जहाँ वो जब ये कंटेंट सेलेक्ट करना शुरू कर देंगे कि वो ये देखेंगे और वो ये नहीं देखेंगे, तो जब चीजें नहीं देखी जाएंगी, जब टीआरपी नहीं होगी, जब लोगों को वो रेटिंग्स नहीं मिलेंगी, तो वो प्रोग्राम्स अपने आप ड्रॉप हो जाएंगे. तो ये टू वे प्रोसेस है, ये वन वे नहीं चल सकता जहां हम सिर्फ एक्सपेक्ट kरेंगे मीडिया से कि वो बदल जाए, क्योंकि वो एक ऐसा साइकिल है जहां वो कहते हैं लोग जो देख रहे हैं हमको दिखा रहे हैं. तो ये दोनों लेवल पे इवोल्यूशन होना पड़ेगा लोगों को भी. इसीलिए कई जर्नलिस्ट को एंड सीनियर न्यूज पीपल यू मस्ट हैव हर्ड सेइंग कि न्यूज मत देखिए, चैनल मत देखिए ना. आई डोंट से दिस, बट एट द सेम टाइम आई से कि ये तय करिए कि आप क्या देखना चाहते हैं, आप ये तय करिए कि आप क्या नहीं देखना चाहते हैं. दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. आप जब ये तय कर लेंगे कि आप ऐसी चीजें नहीं देखना चाहते हैं, चाहे आप कुछ भी ना देखें, तब एक इम्पैक्ट होगा, तब उसका असर आना शुरू होगा. आपको ये रिजेक्शन, आपको हमको सब जो ऑडियंसेस है ना, उनको ये रिजेक्शन लाना पड़ेगा सिलेक्शन के प्रोसेस में. ये नहीं चाहिए. वो जब नहीं चाहिए की बात धीरे धीरे तक करके आगे जाएगी, तब होपफुली इसका असर पड़ेगा.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
So I don't have a timeline, a definite timeline, unfortunately.
Thank you so much for the answer, sir.
रियाज सर,
Yes.
बहुत देर से वेट.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hi, good afternoon.
I want to know about BBC training system regarding punctuation and speech pattern for news reading. Just like जैसे सारिका सिंह है, पायल भुवन है, इनकी जो अदायगी है वो डिफरेंट है. तो क्या ऐसा कोई पर्टिकुलर ट्रेनिंग के दौरान आपको बताया जाता है कि नहीं, स्पीच पैटर्न को इस तरह से रखना, इस तरह से पंक्चुएट करना अपनी स्पीच को?
नहीं, एग्जैक्टली पंक्चुएशन तो नहीं बताते हम लोग, लेकिन हम सिर्फ ये कहते हैं कि आपको ये ध्यान में रखना है कि आप पढ़ नहीं रहे हैं. You're not just reading the news, you are communicating, and that is very important कि आप जो सामने कैमरा है उसको जब तक एक इंसान समझ के उससे बात नहीं करेंगे, आप समझा नहीं पाएंगे आप. और ये पहली चीज है. और दूसरी चीज ये है कि जो भी स्क्रिप्ट है, हमारे यहाँ एंकर्स सिर्फ प्रोग्राम में जाके न्यूज पढ़ने के लिए नहीं जाते हैं और स्क्रिप्ट कोई थर्ड पर्सन लिख रहा हो ऐसा भी नहीं होता है, मिक्स होता है. एंकर्स खुद भी अपनी स्क्रिप्ट लिख रहे होते हैं. तो एट टाइम्स जब आप खुद लिखते हैं तो अपने नेचुरल फ्लो में भी लिखते हैं, जैसे आप बात करते हैं. तो ये इन चीजों का मिक्स है जहां पे उनको, और उसके अलावा जैसा मैंने शुरू में भी जिक्र किया था कि हम शाउट करने से बिल्कुल ही मना करते हैं. हम मना करते हैं कि एग्रेशन या कोई बहुत ही ओवर इमोशनल होकर के बात न की जाए, नेचुरल नॉर्मल तरीके से बात की जाए. तो जब आप नेचुरल नॉर्मल सेल्फ में एक्चुअली बात कर रहे होते हैं तो वो नेचुरल नॉर्मल पंक्चुएशन ही आते हैं और वही लोगों को ज्यादा समझ में आते हैं क्योंकि वो कॉन्वर्सेशनल है. तो कम्युनिकेशन के लेवल पे हमने सबको उसी पे फोकस करने के लिए कहा है जहां वो कैमरे को अपना कोई दोस्त समझते हुए उसे स्टोरी बताएं, और जो बोलने वाले हैं वो अचानक ना बोल रहे हो बल्कि पहले से पढ़ के समझ के जाएं. जब तक वो खुद समझेंगे नहीं तब तक समझा भी नहीं सकते. जब तक कोई चीज आपको समझ में नहीं आई है तब तक आप सामने वाले को समझा ही नहीं सकते हैं वो चीज. तो ये जरूरी है कि आप जो पढ़ रहे हैं उस कंटेंट से कन्विंस्ड हैं, पढ़ के बताना चाहते हैं, समझाना चाहते हैं. दैट इज द ओनली थिंग. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट कोई अलग से पंक्चुएशन के बारे में नहीं बताते.
Thank you so much. That's why the BBC is different from other channels. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Raz.
Govind sir, do you want? Yes, sir. Please ask a question. Govind sir?
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Govind, your audio on.
On है. Hello, Mukesh sir.
Hello, Govindji.
Sir, I just wanted to know what kind of career opportunities we can look forward in this pandemic, because we have been told कि आपदा में अवसर है, and this is true also कि whenever any crisis come, there are new opportunities which emerge. So for the students who are pursuing their career in the journalism, so what kind of career opportunities we can have?
See, I say कि इसमें जो स्पेशलाइजेशन की बात मैंने कही थी, एंड स्पेशली आप कैसे हेल्थ को लोगों तक ले जा सकते हैं, वो एक अपॉर्चुनिटी इस पैंडेमिक ने हमको दी है. और वो सिर्फ इस पैंडेमिक से जुड़ी नहीं है, सिर्फ कोरोना कवरेज नहीं, जनरल पब्लिक हेल्थ के बारे में आप कितनी अच्छे से पढ़ के स्टडी करके और अपना कवरेज शार्पन कर सकते हैं और स्टोरी आइडियाज के साथ आ सकते हैं, वो एक अच्छी अपॉर्चुनिटी है. सो जर्नलिस्ट को जहां ये कहा जाता है कि जनरलिस्ट होना चाहिए, उसे सब चीजों के बारे में पता होना चाहिए थोड़ा थोड़ा, वहां उसको ये भी देखना चाहिए कि कुछ एक चीजें ऐसी टॉपिक जरूर हों जहां उसे ज्यादा पता हो. तो मुझे लगता है कि जिस आपदा में अवसर, जिस फ्रेज को अगर हम जर्नलिज्म पे लगाना चाहें, तो ये एक अच्छा अपॉर्चुनिटी समझ में आती है, जहां पब्लिक हेल्थ जर्नलिज्म या जो साइंस का फील्ड है उसमें अगर अपने आप को थोड़ा और इन्वेस्ट करके और रिसर्च करेंगे, सो दैट कुड बी एन अपॉर्चुनिटी फॉर यू.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Avnish sir, we don't have other questions.
Saad sir.
Okay. Saad sir, please ask a question now.
Yeah, I have a question. Mukesh, there is a particular question on the policy. See, the thing is this one, you are working for an international media, which is pretty much a reputed one. But, for example, I have seen in certain matters, BBC is also biased, pretty much biased enough, and not only a free media. For example, I never saw any articulate criticism or even an interpretation on the policies of British government, foreign policies of British government, in context of ongoing conflicts going on the global level, as well as I never ever seen a single piece of editorial or article written criticizing the royal families. Why so? Though it's a democracy.
It is a democracy, and unfortunate, Dr. Saad, that probably you have not seen, and I would, because I've been witness to one incident, I will actually mention that. If you remember the whole Iraq war, during President Bush's time, and Britain was partner with the US government at that time. So basically it was an invasion on Iraq from British and US forces, and we always questioned the policies, the whole theory of weapons of mass destruction. The whole thing was questioned, so much so that the Director General was, asked to explain certain things. The Director General at that time one of our reporters had said that the whole claim about 45 minutes, Iraq launching weapons of mass destruction in 45 minutes is false. And on that pretext, British government had gone into war. That's what British Prime Minister Tony Blair at that time had convinced the country, and I was there in Britain at that time, so this is my first-hand information. So at that time, every single news bulletin, every program, right, from the languages to English, they were questioning the government. But questioning doesn't mean the only question. As a balanced reporting, we were also giving what government had to say, but at the same time, the questions were raised. And because the government went, it was so much, the government was so uncomfortable that they initiated investigation. Ultimately, because the Director General of the BBC decided not to succumb, I'm sure you can check it on Google. Greg Dyke was the Director General at that time. He resigned. And there's so much of respect for the BBC in that country also, and its neutrality. One of the newspapers, if I'm not wrong, I think Independent was the newspaper, after the British government published its report into the whole controversy and indicted the BBC, next day the Independent left its front page blank. And at the bottom of the front page, there was only, 2 words, I think, the whitewash, which was actually talking about how British government has whitewashed the whole issue and not talked about, and, deliberately indicted the British government. So and you must have seen, I don't know if you've seen, the British government, the Prime Minister refused to give interviews during the last general election, British Prime Minister, saying that, the coverage is not pro-government, or coverage is not, the way it should be. So we may, sitting here in India, not know and see everything, but and there was a piece from the head of news, Fran Unsworth, where she explained that why we are doing journalism the way we do, and even if the current government is targeting us and not giving us interviews, we are still waiting for the Prime Minister to appear in the program. So we do question. Unfortunately, things don't come out openly. During the whole pandemic also, the government was questioned. It may be a perception, and I've been in this organization for roughly 15-16 years. Never ever, and I can, by all honesty, I can tell you, never ever have we received a single communication asking us to tone down or tone up about anything. The neutrality for the organization is paramount. There is
नहीं जा रहे हैं ना जाएंगे, ये सारा मुद्दा क्या फिर वही एक
Hello.
Who is the man?
Hello.
Yes, sir. Yeah, you are audible. Yeah.
Okay. So yes, so that is the thing, we do. Unfortunately, यहाँ सब चीजें शायद नहीं पहुंच पाती हैं, पर BBC has been neutral. Of course, जैसा शुरू में मैंने प्रोफेसर अमिताभ के सवाल के जवाब में कहा था, चीजें कई बार एक तरह से प्रोजेक्ट होती हैं, एक तरह की चीजें दिखाई जाती हैं, but that may not be the truth. थोड़ा सा और रिसर्च करने से पता चल जाता है कि चीजें हो रही हैं. स्केल हो सकता है 10 और 6 का हो, 10 और 8 का हो, पर 0 कभी नहीं होगा.
Okay, so thank you so much. Partvi?
Sorry, just last thing which Professor Amitabh had asked, so about the language or the way we do digital journalism. See, for us, not only digital journalism, sir, for anything that we do, we say audiences are at the core of everything that we do. And you know what? This is my iCard actually. And at the back of it, you can't see it, but it says BBC values. So my iCard says it so that as a journalist, as a representative of this organization, I'm always aware and I remember these things. And the values say trust is the foundation of the BBC. We are independent, impartial, and honest. Audiences are at the heart of everything we do. We take pride in delivering quality and value for money. Creativity is the lifeblood of our organization. We respect each other and celebrate our diversity. We are one. Great things happen when we work together. And this is not just normal thing to say. We do believe in this. And that's what I said. Audiences are at the core of everything that we do. That is why you will not see abrupt advertisement appearing just anywhere on our news pages. It has got a very fixed slot that only these 2 slots, whatever number of advertisements we get, we do not bow to the pressure of commercialization. Those are fixed places. Also, the basic idea is for a reader to not feel too strained reading an article. So it's important for a reader to read it properly. And if there are, big paragraphs on most of the usage is now on phone, so it will become very difficult for them to figure out, and the reading becomes a problem. That is why in our policy we said, okay, after 1 or 2 sentences, let's break the paragraph. So it has to be easy on eyes for our readers. subheads, or make sure that the engaging content, even in the videos that we produce, first few seconds need to be really engaging for the audiences, for them to understand why we should watch this video, why we should read this content. We do look at the metrics in terms of how long an article, and we don't shy away from doing long articles. It's not just we're doing only short articles. We do long journalism because we do believe in providing the context, all the answers which are required. So everything that we do, because we are not bound by any government pressure, whether Indian or the British, because we are not thinking too much about commercial aspects, we are only and only thinking about the audiences. And that has helped us in terms of our coverage, in terms of our presentation, and making sure that it's user friendly. That's all from my side.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. I am truly elated by all your enlightening words, and I would like to thank you for answering all the questions that you did. And I'm pretty sure each and every one of us took a nuisance insight from all that you shared with us today. So thank you for your inputs and just shining some light on us from your wise words. Thank you very much for your presence, Mr. Mukesh.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure talking to everyone. Yeah. So great. Thank you so much.
Mukesh.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir. And I would also like to take this moment to thank our audience for being such great listeners and for paying such close attention and for joining us today. As well as that, I would also like to take this moment and thank our faculty members who have always been such a great support to us and who have helped us by organizing this event. So thank you so much, everyone. And now I would like to take this moment and pass on the screen to Professor Amitabh Srivastav, the Director of the Journalism and Mass Communication Department of Manipal University, Jaipur, so that he can propose the vote of thanks.
Thanks, Mukesh. We don't have the words to say these 2 words. Thanks to you, but I firmly believe when there is a dark night, only then the stars shine. And you people are the stars.
Yeah.
And one more thing, as far as I said that I'm a regular, you can say that user, audience, or whatever term you are willing to say, that no day could be left without watching the BBC. I might have the reservation, but I can't avoid that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And one more thing, I find the range, what you have. Bad se badtar hogi halat. You are having this start of the story, and at the end, you are having the stories of the Batashes and Golgappes too. And that's all are available only on one topic, pandemic. All are related to the pandemic. What happened to the Batashas on the pandemic? That's all the approach, that's all the range, that's all the video you people are having. That's tremendous. And at last, I would like to say that people may like you, people may dislike you, but people can't ignore you. I think this is the thanks to you, and I think that it will be the beginning of our close association. Manipal is also, you can say that one of the few organizations who firmly believe in policies, who firmly believe on values, and I think together we can move forward.
Sure, sir.
And thanks to Prabhat ma'am, and thanks to Dr. Subhash, all faculty members, Dr. Reyaz, Avnishji, and all our students who asked questions, who keenly listened this particular thing. For us, having you, it was simply a great opportunity.
No, sir, it was a pleasure. Pleasure was mine, and I really enjoyed the interaction. Thank you so much for having me.